and welcome. You're actually not audible on stream right now, so let me change that. You could say whatever you want, and no one would know. Say words. Look, everything changed when the Christmas break attacked. Yeah, that should be good.
Should be.
Say hello, kids at home.
Hello, kids at home.
Weird.
Hello and welcome
Hello.
to Jarviskjir Horn of Plenty.
You got enough milk? Just sit down, cross your legs. No, it's okay.
I can see that you'd want to watch Jarviskjir Horn of Plenty with like a glass of milk and a cookie, a biscuit. Next to a roaring fire, laughing at the character's poverty and starvation. It's okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we got. I'm glad to bring you another show today. I've been looking forward to it. And I think we can just barrel right in. There's no needed declarations.
Yeah, what happened last week?
What happened last week? Good question, Neilifer. Well, it was a doozy. You went down the river, avoiding all kinds of perilous dangers, to the Minotaur trading settlement of Balcutta. While you were there,
Richter's really good at rowing.
Richter's really good at rowing. He has both speed and grace. He also has a funny face. And while you were there, you were offered a somewhat shady deal to go fight a giant that had been plaguing the trade coming into the town. It's a seaside settlement. It relies on trade coming in from the sea. You did it and actually were rewarded more than you were promised. Due to both good persuasion rolls and this guy seemingly being trustworthy. You also learned a little bit of other things. You learned that this town was attacked by a dragon sometime in the past. And that actually drove out all of the holy people, the priestesses of the land that the Minotaur they had in this community. But they did manage to rebuild just by shifting more to fishing and trading and stuff like that. So it gives a bit of faith. And Charon, the leader of Balcutta, or at least a very important individual here, has basically said, if you need aid in the future, I am happy to help. Now, I don't remember whether you had planned on taking another night's rest here before leaving, or leaving as soon as possible. Either way, is there anything else you want to do in the town today?
You go first, team.
Just making sure I wasn't muted. Not for Richter, I think he just wants to get out now. Get back to Cornucopia.
I'm muted as well.
Good job, chat. Good job,
No,
lads.
you must have muted me. Or maybe I mute myself.
I can't mute you, Neil. If I could, I would. More
Oh, yeah, of course. Noted.
This isn't Discord.
Now you can.
God damn. I'm gonna just help Ollie out because I'm gonna shrink slowly throughout the stream.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Ollie's like, I've just set this up, you little bitch, but I'm already shrinking.
He's already going down.
I think Torrin would feel quite guilty enjoying himself or anything more than necessary while the others are working and whatnot back in the village. So I think he'd agree with Richter in terms of let's just, do what needs to be done and then get back.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that is a night's sleep or not, I don't know.
You are injured.
Am I?
But as a party, you are injured. But
Yeah,
you
I
could
know.
take a short rest.
I did
and
just
recover.
slay a giant. After
Actually,
all.
you're not very injured. Bell's the only one who's injured because of your healing to Richter.
The problem would be obviously, if we got into trouble with Minotaurs and then we were down on spell slots.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that we decided that we were going to take another night's rest.
I think we did as well.
Because we decided that it was too dangerous to cross through the. It was too dangerous to cross.
Me are too danger.
Yes, that makes sense. I just wanted to bring the question back up after a week of introspection and thought. Which means, because you did that very early in the day, you actually do have a whole day in this town. You could just go, okay, we just want to rest and recover as much as possible. Or you could do activities. Belle does need to trade her little wooden crafts for alcohol. That is going to take, like an hour or so. That's not going to take very long. And there's no rolls required because you, know these people. You have goods. You need goods. That's just, you take, give, That's not going to be
How much alcohol do I get for them?
Enough. I'm not going to give you exact amounts of bottles and things.
Okay.
But, because I didn't give you an exact amount of crafts either. But you have basically
alcohol
in my.
You have
1 alcohols in my inventory.
You've
got an exact amount of
unit of assorted alcohols and beers and things. It's actually one of the bigger buildings in this settlement is kind of a brewer's. Well, it's clear there's some things that they're just not willing to give you for your regular beers and things, just a bunch of it. You wouldn't get anything like wine here. But there's some that seem to have, the way the barrels are marked and things, maybe a religious significance, which they're not trading with humans. But that's, you wouldn't stink up a fuss at that.
Nah.
It actually makes sense that they would give you a keg. Just like a hearty keg.
Okay. 1 alcohol's keg.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
It's a little giggle from Dean. It just made me giggle.
I'm sure keg has some northern slang that we don't possibly understand.
Kegs is underwear here.
Is it?
So you shit your kegs. It's funny.
Oh my god. Truly.
Alright, continue.
Uncivilized.
So, just to give you a little back, as you're spending a day here, no matter what, right? But what you're doing is up to you. You're here at day. Like when you came here last time, you came here in the evening, and even in Balcutta was fairly busy. But it's much more bustling at daytime. This is a community that hasn't really grown in terms of like people who live here permanently, but there's a lot of drifters, there's a lot of sailors, a lot of clearly pirates, and things like that who are selling their wares, making trades, playing games, muscling other people out. There is a bit of a flurry of snow, mostly coming from the sea. It means on the wooden and stone struts that go out towards the sea where some ships are docked, there are these fluffy snow sort of collections around those poles and things as it's starting to grow even colder and colder. But the town is bustling. It would be an excellent sort of place to pickpocket and to get your pocket picked, and similar things, as well as people from, I wouldn't quite say people from all sorts of places in the world, right? It's mostly Minotaur and Borovar, people you would find in this sort of area. You do notice one, fairly armored human who seems to be offering looking for mercenary contracts around the town. Other than that,
Balara would probably head to the riverbank and dig out the boat and set up an overnight camp there.
That makes sense.
So that she could watch the boat. Maybe even sleep on the boat so that it couldn't get stolen out from under her.
Would you just do that on your own, or would you want help with that?
She would let the boys know that that's what she was doing, but would also understand if they wanted the comfort of the inn.
I think Amaryllis would actually... she would actually wander off a bit, and it might, knowing Amaryllis, it'd probably take you a while to realize that, but she wants to look into the previous dragon attack. She doesn't want to talk to people, so her first instinct would probably be to look at the ruins, but I imagine it quickly becomes apparent she can't tell much from that.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
As I said, last week, when you came down the river, there was this plot of land that seemed significant that was damaged. Whether you could even say it is still corrupted is hard to tell, but like there's nothing growing there, and there was kind of the outline in stone of what may have been a church. Now, this is kind of up to you. There's a couple of roles you could make here, Amaryllis. You could give me a religion check to try and learn more about the church and the faith that would have been based on this land, and maybe why those people left. Nature checks about the quality of the land. History checks to try and work out about the area as a whole. There's a selection of things you can do. But and you said there's people you would end up talking to people. There's like no one out here. This is not the ruined remains of the town. Any building remains that would have been here are, there's remains of like people's camps who have camped outside of the town when passing through.
Okay. I mean, just from Amaryllis's interests, it would probably be primarily a history role. And I mean, that is one of my expertises, so it makes sense.
Yep. It's 17 on an 11 roll. The damage happened around 30 years ago. Which would make sense that there's been kind of a natural recovery. Not enough for things to grow again. It would seem that the Minotaur aren't... you could probably build in this land, but they're doing less so for the stigma. Clearly it's important to them. Clearly this attack happening 30 years ago was important and damaging. Not that, you don't know how many Minotaur would still be in the town that remember that, but a lot of the locals seem to be fairly old. What else? Yeah, Balgada would have been very young when that happened, guessing from the shape of the town and things like that. You can imagine that Malakes probably 30 years ago did a very similar thing to them that they did to you. Malakes didn't attack your town directly. It kind of attacked your crops. And it seems like she did the same thing here 30 years ago. Maybe the fact that it's not as damaged and corrupted is 30 years of growth on a dragon. The dragons live a long time.
Yeah. I just find it interesting that this is still here after apparently defying Malakes, and she didn't seem to have any further inclination to destroy it or anything. She just basically ignored it. Is the interesting
I think your immediate assumption on that, with the history and stuff, would be there's two possibilities that your mind comes up with. Either it's a very old dragon and it's looking on a scale far beyond what most mortals would comprehend. And being Fae, you kind of actually understand that mentality a bit more than other people.
Yeah, 30 years to Amaryllis is like, it's not nothing, but it's not like a lifetime or anything. That's like probably a year or two to a human equivalent.
Exactly. And the other thing would be, maybe she was actually, maybe Malakes isn't that old, and this is kind of childish lashing out, and maybe she hasn't thought to come back, maybe she doesn't care to, maybe just, maybe something to do later, maybe it isn't a plan, and it is just
something
chaos
she enjoys and wants to do, and it's not the actual killing or anything, it's the threatening and the power that she's interested in. Yeah, makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
It would be around then that you two boys would notice that you've lost Amaryllis. You're going around that market's rectangle with the roof and things, looking at wares and like swords and shields and things like that. And then you're like, where's the tree? No tree.
Well, I suppose she could probably take care of herself. She did come to warn the village after a dragon attack.
You think she's in danger?
No. Just since the attack, Amaryllis has been around all the time. She's rather been like a good luck charm after a bad event. Makes me a little bit nervous now, not having her around.
Yes. It's the first time I've lost a tree. She can handle herself, I'm sure.
It's at that time that you see, on the other side of the market, someone just with a big cleaver chopping a bunch of firewood. And that sound just breaks through the air.
Let's go find her.
It's like a glance and we're like, yeah.
Richter, can you give me either an insight or perception roll? I don't actually have the rolling. I'm looking at the stream. You head out. It isn't actually hard for you to assume that she's gone out to look at the attack. It's not a very big town. I mean, it's huge to you guys. You've never been in a place this big. But when you actually kind of apply yourselves, you're not going to really get that lost. And Amaryllis, when you are looking for her, is easy to find. She's tall and kind of stands out. You find her at this plot of dead land, not looking at the church or the buildings or anything, looking at like the trajectory of the attack and the land itself. Things like that. Just
very slowly moving around, gazing at something for a while, and then moving on again.
Exactly.
It's like watching Baby Yoda just wander around.
There's a little Baby Yoda in Amaryllis. You're not wrong.
I don't think Taran would say anything. He'd let Richter take the lead. Like, well, they've ascertained she's okay. She is, after all, a spirit, and it might be a little bit cruel, rude, disrespectful to suggest that she could get turned into firewood.
Amaryllis.
She doesn't turn and look, but just, young Richter. The site of Malakes's previous dealings. It is interesting.
I'll, walk forward. Yes? How so?
This happened 30 winters ago, give or take. She does not seem to have come back. Either she is similar to me. The years mean little to her. She is old. Or she is young and impulsive and likes to make others cower. In which case, she may have no intention or inclination to return at all. She may already have forgotten.
She seems rather large to me, rather than young or small.
Dragons live on a different time scale even to us of the wilds. It is not my expertise. I cannot judge how old she is. they keep growing throughout their life.
Maybe we could find out how long she's been in the area. The Minotaur, the lion, the clan whose lands we had to pass through. They worship her, serve her, right? Maybe if you manage to speak to one of them, or maybe just by looking, perhaps they have totems, perhaps they don't. Maybe there's ruins from their village as well. You never know.
If I were an old, wise dragon, I would very much keep in mind that 30 years to a civilization not founded upon dragons is quite a long time. I would have returned by now, if I were to keep them under my claws, so to speak.
You think maybe?
I can only guess at her mind. We would need experts in ways of dragons, perhaps Shinebank or larger cities on Mother's Horn might have them.
It's good you bring that up, Amaryllis, because with your history check, if someone researching dragons knew a dragon attacked here, even 30 years ago, they probably would have come here to check, and it's not far from Shinebank. So if there was someone in Shinebank researching dragons, they've probably been here.
There may already have been such a person who came here at the time of the attack. If we wish to seek further information on the beast and seek ways to cure the land of its poisoning,
maybe she'll just forget about us like she's done with this town. I mean, we're smaller than they are. Maybe she won't come back at all.
that is also a possibility, but this town has an advantage. It could easily change its way of living. That would be harder for Cornucopia, although the foodstuffs you obtained from the gnomes would go some way to that.
Right.
Possibilities, divergences. Much is left to chance and the choices you make. I do not think there is a wrong choice, but what choice you make will affect how your village recovers.
Well, that's depressing.
Amaryllis does actually smile at that and say, "Fear not, young Torren. Much that seems cataclysmic in the moment is healed by the passage of time."
I suppose that's true. Time heals all wounds. Look, maybe we should go find Belle. I'm not sure about leaving her alone out here. She can look after herself, but there's no sense in risking. Right?
She would have totally have told you where she's going.
Yeah.
So it means you could just go and you know, start heading off her way to do my DM duty. you have a couple of opportunities from what Amaryllis just told you. Seeing if you could find someone or any leads on someone, and that'd get a breadth of new information. And then there's Doran's idea to kind of ask the Minotaur camp and see what they've got going on. Their connection to the dragon. Of course, they want to kill you, but Belle has always been like, I think I could talk them down and things like that. So maybe if you can arrange a situation the right way, maybe you could sneak. There's a lot of possibility. You've opened a tap of quests.
The Horn of Plenty.
Yeah. Belle's made a nice little camp. You don't even need to do sort of a roll for this. This is your expertise to set a camp, kind of cover like a tarp covered in the snow, away like so it's looks like just more snowy rocks from the village. Comfortable enough for you. Probably already catching some fish, you know. You come back to find Belle in her element.
Bellament, if you
Bellament. Yeah. Also probably tending to her wounds because Belle is
I was at 18. I changed it because I expected us to have.
We've not had a long rest yet.
Rest, yeah.
If you,
I changed it back.
Yeah. So she's actually the most beat up right now. You took a rock to the body. So yeah, you can go and get her and get her opinion on these taps of quests. Belle, what is your opinion on what we should do next? Oh, good role-playing team.
So, what are you doing right now?
She's set up a camp, basically hiding the boat and with the boat. Because you're staying overnight, she doesn't want to risk the boat here another night not being guarded in some way.
Right.
When you walk up onto the bank and see her, because she would have told you exactly that she was going to the boat and doing that. You see her like dabbing potion on her finger and like placing it on scrapes and stuff, kind of holding her ribs and just being like, God, I got fucked up.
Malara.
She looks at you.
We found Amaryllis inspecting. Well, I think she'd. Amaryllis, please. And then
She was looking at the mud.
Amaryllis does smile slightly at that, but just says, I was surveying the ruins of the Malakes's attack here. It seems to me that if we want more information on our foe and hints at ways to cure the land of its poison, Shinebank would be an excellent place to visit. Scholars in draconic lore would have visited here after the attack.
I do see that being a good idea, but I think we ought to return home first.
Of course, 100%. Rachel wouldn't say that was a Deanism.
Yeah, 100.
You could tell, like, midway through, you were like, no, Richter wouldn't say it, but you're committed.
Of course, 100. This emoji, this emoji, this emoji.
Ancient runes.
I'm hesitant, I suppose, of returning to Cornucopia and then leaving again so soon. I'm not an adventurer, I'm a guardian.
We need you to guard us. You are guarding home away from home. You did really well against that giant.
If the Minotaur return...
Then your father will make quick work of them. The scouts that I've trained will see them from miles away.
Maybe we should get Cornucopia into like a slightly more safe position, and then we can travel to Shinebank. Maybe we could sort something out with the gnomes, and if the Gnome King's working with Cornucopia, then they can work together and we'll be safe from any Minotaur attack, really.
Perhaps if we make enough coin, we could commission trebuchets. Catapults.
I don't know who'd make those.
Griff builds them for fun on a small scale.
I mean... Is there a difference between the small and big scale?
One is much larger.
You know what I meant, Belle.
I don't know. Not my expertise, but I'm sure we could commission one.
Not to mention, Griff isn't exactly doing all that well himself at the moment.
But he can direct, and once I get him this, and she indicates the keg that's sitting in the boat, he'll be right as rain.
I don't think you understand. What's gone on's taken a toll on his body. Giving him that won't fix him. It'll help him carry on for a while, but parts of him and his health are as gone as that leg of his, I'm afraid, Belle.
This is not the right time to talk about this. With regards to the catapults, Cornucopia is not that large. They wouldn't need many Minotaurs to take Cornucopia, or at least damage us. Catapults, it would be like throwing a stone at a fly. It wouldn't do much. By the time we set one of those things off, they would be at our gates.
You don't
Not
even
with the
have
scouts.
gates.
I think we ought to consult your father about that. I think that he would have the most valuable input for how to safeguard Cornucopia. We, as belittling as it sounds, are glorified errand runners right now, but very important ones.
You bear knowledge and abilities that serve you in places other than Cornucopia. Few of your kin can say the same.
I need to be out there. I need to go and do things for our home.
That's fine. I need to be home.
Well, then let's return home tomorrow and we have all day on the river to talk about it. For now, I need rest. I'm in pain.
Well, what we all agree on is Cornucopia isn't safe at the moment, and something needs to be done.
With that in mind, Belle's staying here resting all night.
I'm staying with Belle.
Torin and Rector. You still have, you know, a good chunk of day if you do want to do an activity.
I don't think Torin would actively stray from the group at this point, nor would he necessarily suggest anything. Like Belle said, she's hurt. He'd probably do some medicinal tending rather than magical tending.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
Richter's not the guy to.
Long rest by the water. Amaryllis and Torin, can you both give me nature checks while this is going on? Amaryllis and Torin. Oh, you did. I didn't see your hand move.
Perfectly
magical. Okay, good, sure. You take your long rest here. Bell increases the size of the camp enough. Kind of hard to be as stealthy on the water with this many people, but that's probably not going to be a problem. So, next morning, you're up and Adam. As winter is encroaching, the snowfall is increasing. You know, there's that morning flurry of snow, the wind from the sea, that honestly isn't going to trouble your journey at all if you head out before it gets any worse.
Crap, yeah, we've got to deal with winter as well.
Yeah, that's one of those. It is a thing to think out if you want to. Everything is harder during the winter. If you want to focus on defenses during the winter, that's going to take even longer. If you want to go on an adventure during the winter, that's going to take even longer.
Yeah, traveling cross country is going to take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Alara might rig up the tarp to be a roof over the top of the boat for right now.
Can you give me a survival check for that?
Mm-hmm. Oof. It's not pretty.
It's one of those things that it's not practical to do. Maybe you and Griff with some time could do that. But even as a quick thing, it would just interfere with the rowing and being able to see where you're going, all that sort of stuff. So you end up you give up on that idea for now. And plan to go upriver?
Yep. Back to Cornucopia.
Okay then. Victor, can you give me an athletics roll?
Can I perception as watch person?
Please do.
Watch 3.
Richter, you're feeling really, really rough. First you just think it's because you don't really have like a proper breakfast and things like that, and you ate a different food here, and it was like sort of fish stew and all that sort of thing, and you just sort of start rowing, and it's actually when you break away from the shore and start going up the river, Richter kind of collapses. Not so much that the boat doesn't flip or anything like that. Torin can kind of steady it. But all of you become kind of aware that Richter is pale. Amaryllis can quickly tell that he has a fever. You're actually suffering from 2 points of exhaustion right now, Richter. You are very sick.
Jesus.
Cracker?
We should return to Balcata. Get him well rested and recovered. We cannot make it back upriver with him in this state. It would not be safe for him or us.
Leha knows what she's doing. We don't know that they have anyone that good in Balcata.
You actually know, but their priestess is left.
we met some Minotaur woman as well.
They might have healers, but they're actual priestesses who, Sharon said, do the same role that you do, Torin. They would be very similar to you and Leha. They aren't here.
Torin's gonna check him.
You can give me a medicine check.
Nice.
You've never encountered this illness before. What is clear is that Richter is suffering a fever, and he has the shivers, the shakes. It's like the strength is being sapped from him. He might also be seeing things. It's kind of hard to tell. Whatever this is, it's quite dramatic, and that roll isn't good enough to know what to do with it at all. You've never encountered anything like this. Amaryllis may have. She wants to give me a medicine roll. But while you do that, I'm actually going to tell you what your perception check sees, Amaryllis.
I'm too distracted by whatever I see with my perception check.
You see on the water, and this is very Amaryllis. You know, you're going off on the water, and you get distracted by an animal. An animal by Balcutter. Like I said, it's on a lot of support structures. You're kind of looking under there, and you see some movement. You're like, oh, what is that? What is that? You see a little creature called a Warfling. A Warfling is about the same appearance and size as a chubby puppy. They are pretty small, hairless. Their skin is quite slick and watery and wet. They have a bit of a fish-like tail, but big webbed feet and big, hungry mouths. And this one is eating out of a discarded bowl that someone just threw off the inn's, like out of the inn's window. And it's just they are carrion feeders and opportunists, kind of similar to like seaside foxes, but way smaller. But then you see a couple more of them, and Warflings. You've seen them before when you've been by the sea. They can be dangerous. They're not really going to kill anyone, although they do have a devastating bite. You might lose a finger or something. But they're thieves, and they do bunch up in swarms. And you're seeing quite a few of them. The chance of a Warfling swarm could be possible, and they will... they're little thieves. You're more likely to lose a lot of stuff when a Warfling swarm goes by than actually get badly injured. But with Richter being injured, he's even more at risk.
Would it scare them if I shot that motherfucker dead? Or would it enrage them?
That's either a nature or survival check to work that one out.
Me or her?
Either one.
Either, okay. And she's one curious, I'll let her roll.
What?
Nature roll.
You doing it?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, are you doing it or am I?
No, you can do it as you're the one who thought
Okay,
about it.
and I can do survival instead if I wish?
Yeah. You probably wish.
I definitely do.
Little creatures like that can often be scared away. They might come back around. It's hard to tell. They're probably going to be less likely to chase you if you shoot an arrow at them. But if you're planning on staying, that might draw the wrong kind of attention. Also from the village.
All right.
She shot me pet!
Some people do keep Warflings as pets. These are not pets. No collars, no microchips in sight. So what's the plan? Are you staying? Trying to see if you can get some help for Richter here?
So Torrent doesn't know what this is.
It's clear. If it's clear from 2 points of exhaustion, he's going to have difficulty doing any kind of ability checks and is much slower. Which doesn't really matter for boating, aside from he's the one doing most of the boating.
But at the same time, he got significantly more out very quickly.
It's one of those things that that's kind of more just Richter's personality. You know, I don't think Richter would necessarily notice he's sick until he exerts himself. You know?
Yeah, he would be like, I'm fine, don't worry about it.
Bonk.
Yeah. So Torrent's he's gonna...
You would know that a healing potion would do nothing to this. Just
lie this boy down. He's gonna reach into his pack. He gets out some herbs, sprinkles it around. He takes off his
What are you doing?
His pendant.
Stop it.
And shh, Richter, shh. And usually you see it around his neck glowing, and he begins to whisper and chant. And slowly he draws it, and you see just like a wispy smoke begins to trail from it. And he lays his hand on Richter's head, and he's gonna cast Lesser Restoration to try to end one disease affecting it.
Let me check the book.
I touch Dean, who's a creature.
It's uncomfortable, Richter. You feel as if you're being dried out. All the sweat like pours out of your pores. But that actually does work. The smoke cures him of whatever was ailing him. It doesn't recover his exhaustion, but it stops it getting worse. It means he can recover exhaustion normally. Sometimes an illness like that would make it even more difficult to recover.
That's what I was worried about.
So, that does give, like, that makes Richter's, like, color come back to him. You still have, like, the joint weakness. You don't have the shakes, you just, you know, ache. You have the aches. It's like coming after a flu.
Turn like shakes the crystal and you see like this little dark smoke dissipate before he puts it back on. Wow, that was not sure where you got that, but I guess it's from being covered in the giant's guts. Not very nice, that. He should recover with time. But if I'm honest with you, a couple nights rest in an inn will probably be for the best.
A couple nights rest at home would probably be for the best.
That's providing we can get home. I don't disagree that that's what all of us would prefer, but he's not going to get a couple nights rest if I can't row us all the way back. Or if we get caught by those Minotaur.
I'm fine. I can row.
Rixie, you're not fine. You've had something very bad in your system. You're lucky that you carried on walking for as long as you did. We shouldn't have spent last night outdoors either. Not with that. Look, I don't think it's safe for Richter. It's my job to look after you as members of the village. I don't want to stay away any longer than needed. But Leha would gut me if I came back with Richter like this.
And I'll slowly get up and be like, and it's my job to look after you. And I'll start rowing.
Okay, give me an athletics check with disadvantage.
I would like to actually take the row with him and help. Or take the oar with him, I mean.
Take the row.
Will I allow that? I'll allow it to even it out to a neutral roll. Check. That is going to make it much harder to be quiet or dexterous. But we'll take a lot of the strain off him. So that would be a neutral athletics roll for you, Richter. 12. Good enough to start rowing upstream. You know, you don't have to go for any rapids or anything. It is a slower process. Not just because you're going upriver, but because he's sick and you have to do a lot of it as well, Belle. And Torin as well, because you have the other set of oars.
Yeah, I think there's no way that he can row all that way. Like, maybe he can do a couple stints, but... He's just rowing us far enough to get us down Shit Creek.
But that rowing check is enough to get you away from Balcutter. It disappears into the distance with the flurry of snow mist kind of obscuring it from your vision very quickly. You do, Amaryllis, notice Warflings skulking and skipping down the side of the river, very much following you. Maybe it was the sickness on Richter that attracted them.
He smells like that bowl of rotten food.
Yeah. Amaryllis would, noticing this, would sort of look from side to side and say, not to raise further problems, but we have been followed by the beastlings that were at Calcutta. Richter's illness, I believe, has attracted them. They are not aggressive or dangerous necessarily. They are more thieves, but in large numbers and sensing weakened individuals, who knows?
Lara will stand up and look at them and say, little fuckers, and put a hand on her bow.
You want to give an intimidation roll? Absolutely, please.
No, not to intimidate, like to gauge reaction from everybody else before she shoots.
Oh, okay. Cool. I was going to say, you could do an imitation roll or a bunch of sea puppies.
Oh, Jesus.
If you want to see what the artist rendition of a Warfling looks like, by the way, they're not as cute as I may have described.
Yeah, I want them to be cute, but like
I was imagining like a mini otter Pokemon, and that's not a mini otter Pokemon.
I tried to make my body tried to make like a noise, but it's like
it's like a hairless cat. It's like it's not as cute as it should be.
Hairless cats are fucking adorable. You're crazy.
I like hairless cats, but how does they want to react to Belara wanting to murder?
Maybe Amaryllis could ask them to leave us alone. We could tell them that they get hurt if they attack us and leave them some food if they don't.
Unfortunately, the flow has not blessed me with that magic today.
That is very good.
Well, then we'll use mine. She draws an arrow and knocks it.
Your idea of communication is flawed.
If I kill one, they will know that we are a threat, and they will leave our belongings alone. I deal with them in the wild.
I would like to precognition.
Really?
What happens if she fires an arrow at them?
I like it. I like it.
That is very funny.
I can't believe that Ian's like.
This is Richter's ill. All these other things. Warfling swarm. Oh.
I mean, I was going to use a precognition if Torin hadn't cured him, so I feel like I'm justified.
Close your eyes and take a long moment while this discussion is happening around you, letting the voices muffle. And this is where we're going to take a little break, actually.
I can't believe you don't have that, Ian. I was like,
minutes.
Ian will have it, and I bet you took it off.
I took it off for the fight, and I forgot to reset my spells this morning. So I've got a bunch of combat stuff.
It's very good. We'll be back in a couple of minutes for more.